terms of the circle and the playing path we'll get next outing.
Yeah, I think for Mad Bull's shown us a little bit of a different change of pace there for themselves down towards the south side and Los Higos. Maybe that's a play they don't pull out again. Usually drop over towards Puerto Paraíso at the end of the day. So again, playing path could be wildly different. So could the circle. I think that's the first time in a while it heads up far towards that northwest side, giving some of those teams on the northwest edge a little bit of an easier time to rotate on it. But again, it's all in the past. Got to put it behind you now. Think about this as a fresh match indeed, whilst you wait for these teams to get themselves back into the game. BTR on your screens at the moment.
Here's a quick one for you, Blank. Whilst we get a rehost going, let's have a quick rehost riddle. What kind of running means walking?
Kind of running means walking.
That's right, Blank. What kind of running means walking?
Ooh, dude, why do you always hit with these rehost riddles? Because I am horrible at the rehost riddles, mate. I'm terrible at it. And I could just Google it, but I'm not that guy.
You've got more respect. You've got more respect than that,
I've
Blank.
I've got respect for the rehost riddle. I don't know, it's like a competition, like a walking competition. Because you're in the running for a walking competition.
It's not bad. I like where you're going with it. But it's not the answer I've got on the sheet, Blank. It was running out of gas.
Oh.
Yeah, running out of gasoline there, petrol.
So you have to get out the car.
Yeah, you've got to walk, you see.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I think I went too deep into it there. I tried too hard. Yeah, that's what I always do on these ones, though.
This is great, by the way. This is the sort of thing that I would like take a picture of and then put up in the back of the boot camp facility.
Yeah,
the smiles and thumbs up.
I do like the tossing of the heat pack as well, just
slamming it down. Yeah.
I've got 2 games left. Just let me play the game.
My hands are too warm.
Dear me. But yeah, still waiting for the boys to get back into it, it would seem. Do apologise, of course.
It is your fault. You know, you did release the technical gremlins into the building, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
And they're in the
I let them out the cage.
Exactly. I've been warning you. I've been saying you shouldn't feed the IT gremlins after midnight. But you said it's fine. They're not going to swell up and turn into loads of computer gremlins. And
but they did.
Look what happened, Blank.
They look so cute. I just had to give them a little bit of food after midnight. It's my fault. My bad, guys. But heading back into the match in 40 seconds, very, very shortly. The classic nondescript pillow. We love to see it.
The old land pillow, mate.
The land pillow.
It has to happen.
The dirty white pillow.
Yeah, people love a land pillow. You can always tell the players that excel the land pillow. I tell you what, there is really one weird one that I've seen. The most bizarre land setup I'd ever seen is there's a player that has his chair back rotated. He wants it the other way when he plays stage games. So they have to unscrew the back of the chair, flip it round the wrong way it's supposed to go, because that's how he likes it to feel pushed up against his back.
That's odd.
It's odd, right?
Not sure I feel about that one.
It's a bit backwards, literally.
It is a bit backwards. Literally just trying to destroy his lumbar. I mean, okay, fair enough. Maybe it gets him into the mood of things like, I'm uncomfortable now. Right. I can't be any more uncomfortable in game. Yeah. Right. So, yeah.
I guess so. But luckily, Blank, it's resolved. The problems have been fixed. And we set ourselves up then for the penultimate game. Oh, okay. It's not the same.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Horrible playing path, I'd say, down towards the southern edge. Really pens a lot of teams into a different location. Mad Bulls, again, like I said, I don't think they would have been going back down to Minas del Sur, Los Higos way. Instead, drop up towards Puerto Paraíso. Influence Rage, I imagine, going to go far up towards Impala. But directly into our penultimate match here for the last chance. Which teams can make it towards the top now, because this is the final stretch, the final run. And again, I would say more than anything, the penultimate match a lot of times is more important than the final one, because you at least need to get yourself close to that boundary to have your final breakout. If FaZe didn't have at least some decent games on their last 2 matches, it wouldn't have been possible over in that survival stage to make it into the last chance here.
No, it's true, man. I think Miramar really is one of those points where if you get here and you go above and beyond, if you really do pull out all the stops, you have that potential for what can be a whirlwind swing of 2 games back to back, and that can be enough. 2 games, definitely more potential for points. Double the amount of points, potentially. It's just the way that goes. Only the 1 game gets a lot harder, gets a lot more awkward. So starting off with your best foot forward now, going into these next 2 games, and forgetting about everything else that's happened leading up to this point is what you have to do. Mentality has got to be at an all-time high, and you have to come out swinging. We need to see confidence for a lot of our squads here, namely Influence Rage, man. If they want to change face now, Blank, I need to see 2 back-to-back games where not only are they fragging, but they are gunning for placements as well. They're gunning for chicken dinners. Gladiators right now just getting gunned more literally as they give up the opening elim to Enigma Galaxy there.
Yeah, if Gladiators, I think, taking this trash drop down towards the south side, especially on a southern circle like this, you gotta expect teams to be around this area. You know that Enigma Galaxy drops off towards that western side. You know Mad Bulls are going to be having a cheeky peek down towards the south eye as well. So I think you drop close and try and play a buddy system off the back of that in terms of looting. Again, we don't have to talk about them too much here. Right now, 16th place, impossible run for them. Up towards that northwest side, though, Duxan gets himself nice and situated towards San Martin early on in the game. So ready to head central. Reject as well in a fairly decent position down towards that south side. Certainly not out, I would say, is that 13th position, even down towards 14th with Mad Bulls with 41 points. There's still potential here, which is insane to say that 14th can still get in at the end of 2 days. Right? That is ridiculous. Duxan just about regrouping with one another. It's been a long drop on the parachute, almost immediately pulled there, but will find themselves into a decent spot. Rook on the northern edge towards water treatment, a central team that likes to get themselves penned up inside a compound, defend it as good as possible, put out the outside traps, the defenses, the hot oil, but we'll see what Rook can get done here.
And you'd hope there is a little bit more, even just for themselves, to have a final send-off if it isn't enough to, make it the whole affair and really mount some sort of heroic, unfathomable comeback for Rook. At least you're giving a good test of yourselves on the way out the door. Because they've played some blinding PUBG Mobile. They've had some corkers, some of the shots they've been hitting, some of the actually out of the meta setups they've been using as well. Like you were mentioning with the gas cans and a few of the setups. It's been pretty cool to watch. So their defensive gameplay could definitely still have a bit of a leg up into our last 2 games of the day here. Duxan having a bit of a loot as well as they'll clear out the rooms, get everything tucked away nice and neatly early on. And that's kind of one of the big things, is where's our first fight going to come from? Who will throw us a bone and potentially make the first mistake? Lufa, he's lurking. Okay, they don't clear the angle, Blank, and he peeks off the back of it. Lufa strikes into the first man. Map geometry could work for him, but he's not quick enough in getting behind that AC unit, so he takes a heavy hit there and gets dropped down to the ground from Squash. Inco finding that opening knock, and they're wondering, where's the rest of his team? Where is everyone else?
Yeah, not looking to save him either. Lufa left behind. And I think for Lufa there, yeah, there's big potential, right, where you can actually get yourself a fantastic 1v3 position in that location towards power grid. It's not to be, though. He doesn't cross quick enough, isn't able to find himself into the position behind the AC units, as you were saying. So for the boys on Reject, they'll be down to just those 3 players, and their run becomes much more squeaky in this match. Not quite in stage 2 just yet, but we have a lot of teams down towards our south side. Udo Alliance looking to move upwards. They find Meku on the approach. Will take him down. Quick and easy elimination. So already they're on average, right? They found their 1 point of the game, which is better than nothing. And for Udo Alliance, they know they need to do a lot in these last 2 Miramars. Yesterday was not good for them. However, today has to be if they want to maintain their position in that top 5 to go towards the grand finals. Inco, very close towards the top 5. And I do wonder if we're going to have the Inco special from last year. Just finding some good positions. Oh dear. Finding some good positions in the center of the circle and then just squeezing their way into that top 5 at the end of it.
YDO showing you what it looks like to climb a set of Dutch stairs here. It's very steep. Very hard. Sometimes you go tumbling back down on your bottom. But he at least will make it the second time around and gets up towards the top. Looking down on Rook now. Okay. Bullet's going to bite him instantly. They've got nades as well. Chucks that one in. Pretty nice, actually, Blank. Good forearm on him. Lands that right on target and wipes about half of his HP off. So YDO probably not fancying really committing to this one as heavily as he had previously. And now Rook are aware of the location as well. So they can try and set up for this, at least keep themselves out of the danger zone. IHC on screens here as well, roaming on in. Okie dokie, Papi Patro, he'd probably be first contact on this one as Zol's looking for the peak over the top of the hillside. Ooh, hang on a minute, Reyes on the swing round the back actually just burns him instantly, Blank. That's a freebie.
Yeah, I mean, for IHC there, the fact that Zol is just sitting pretty kind of assumes that the rest of the squads are going to be inside the compounds underneath. Demo at least gets up close, has a smoke in his hands, drops it over towards his teammate, now looks to take a high ground position to maybe take some shots over towards Reyes and Co over on this side, looking to lock them in. Remember, IHC needs some big points this game to actually jump up, and they have been a fantastic team. It'd be great to see the Mongolian squad go through to the grand finals, but they've got to find these placement points. They can't just keep scrapping early on and losing teammates left, right, and center. With FaZe off in the distance too, looks a little bit scary. Big Milo picks up Alex on his peak, and for IHC, the days seem a little bit numbered here for them. They're losing players left, right, and center. Luckily, Zol's back up on his feet. And right now, IHC desperately getting their teammates back up into action.
Trying to reset as quick as possible, but they're being barreled down on. FaZe saw an opportunity here to try and strike in the back line, and a few of those connections will rain through, fastly closing the gap as well as they hop behind the steering wheels and drive down onto IHC. So many squads on top of each other there as well. So this fight is basically just a big old dinner bell that is being rung back and forth. Everyone's looking to get stuck into the mix. FaZe being able to pick up a good majority of the elims from it as IHC are melting. They are evaporating the longer this goes on. Demo tries to go for the getaway and at least be the sole survivor of the Mongolian squad as he'll be bruising off in the back of the vehicle and just focusing on going as far away as possible. Hopefully, he doesn't run straight into the awaiting arms of BTR or get backstabbed by Enigma Galaxy. It's quite close by. For FaZe, where's the next fight come from? Now you've won out on that one versus IHC, you're going to be moving into the zone where you'll have Reject Tokyo just a few steps ahead of you.
I mean, for IHC, right, Demo, you're right. He's just sending away as fast as possible. Gets in the vehicle, will not be walking anytime soon, wants to keep the gas running, because he needs to get towards a very, very safe position in the circle and just maintain presence. Needs to get 3 or 4 points on this match in terms of placements. Maybe steal away some eliminations through this game as well to keep them with that springboard going forward. Team Queso getting barraged upon by BTR as they don't allow them to scale up this cliff. Already a vehicle's gone. The monster truck a little bit more sturdy though, able to get over towards the top side.
Mate, Satar has ruined them, Blank. He's been really good today. Like, some of the shots we've seen him hit, especially when he has a DMR in his hands, he's feeling super crisp. Really, really nice to watch. Or even here. It's the tracing, Blank. It's the mechanical skill that you can see he's got down to a T, right? The way that there's a target so far off in the distance, so he's accounting for everything in his mind, but keeping up the tracing, it just looks really nice to watch. So gun skill there for BTR, always being a bit of a blessing for them. Satar again, he proves it, Blank. That's a headshot as well onto Tixi. How does he do it so easily?
Yeah, I mean, you called it perfectly there. Satar from BTR has been a really big standout from that team. Certainly hitting some disgusting shots. Kitsune's rocking up towards Rook Esports. Pretty sure they spot over towards him. Satar once again knocks out Team Queso. Reyes tries to peek out for just a barest second, but he's on it like a swivel at the moment. Pusher goes down to Prepod from up on high. Will fall too. This is the position on the map that both these teams been scrapping over, because this is quite a difficult position on the map to play. You've got crater fields up towards this northern side, hellish spot to play around with. You got the ridge sides down towards the south and the deadly fields on the southwest, which I imagine not a lot of teams would like to see in play. But we're about to see stage 3, where it shrinks up, where these teams will have to go. Some of these teams have heavy committed towards the high ground early on. They want to hold on to it. And we do head further south. So the fields still in play. A lot of area becomes really, really difficult to hold on to going forward, Jackie.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier to remain in control of your territory here, with most of the landmass already disappearing and squads duking it out against one another. They're shoulder to shoulder right now in a few of these locations as well, just looking to see who we left standing in charge of a compound once the dust has settled. Distance on that must have been sickening as well. Brute force, being able to get the shots down into the gulch there and find a connection off on Duxan from absolutely miles away. Probably not going to be able to convert it into the full-on elimination, but even then, he still slowed them down a bit and they're forced to use some of that utility early. Fight here on the hillside as well, with Evos looking over the ledge and seeing what's on the other side. Anything that tantalizes them, makes them think maybe there's some 3 points on offer here. But they won't over-egg it. They play their cards close to their chest, staying safe for now. And Brute Force just continuing as well to inflict damage down on Duxan.
Duxan definitely crumbling just a little bit, trying to find anywhere they can play from. Brute Force somewhat lucky that this high ground was still in, but again, this is just a full commit from the squad, from the team to the high ground early in the game. They grab it at that point, in which case now they can start to hold it. They have 2 players underneath as well, with Mind and YDO holding onto the concrete, allowing the rest of Brute Force to eventually move into position later on. Binny does find himself a nice shot, but it's quickly answered there by Nenebeche over towards Binny himself, and Rafa will immediately hit the next connection. Flush out that player from Duxan. Remember, these are the guys that are chasing 56 points. Losing a player now this early in the game, not really even that far into the circle either, without a strong spot to play off. That is pretty bad news for them. So many teams just holding on the high ground now, with the ice picks firmly cemented into the walls.
It's going to take all of their strength, all of their energy to stay standing in fights like this. Dangling on a knife's edge. Fleeke wants to go for the getaway, but he's been slain. Mela in the back line will assault the man and shut him down. So this 2-pronged attack from either side now gives them a good overall understanding of how to approach the fight versus Mad Balls, as you've completely fragmented them. And Frozen doesn't really have any quick backup either. So if he exposes himself, peeks out for any info, you'll be absolutely barraged from so many different positions that he should fall quite quickly. But look at the grouping. Look how many teams that are just on top of one another here. The difference of these squads fighting should come in the next few seconds because of this. Zone moving on further up. Brute Force centered up dead center on it, with 1 player trapped down in the bottom behind Big Milo and the boys. And the rest of the teams now have to fight on their warpath to get into the new zones. This means that FaZe and Mad Balls, that level of pressure that was on them previously, starts to rise once again. And you're going to be looking to survive and weather the storm on this.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this circle, it's like one of the craziest circles you can get on Miramar as well, with the amount of high ground that's still in play now. Onzen's opts to drop down. I don't know if that was an accident or not. He looks around like he's a bit annoyed with himself there. And I don't think he meant to drop off so early. But FaZe Mela will come down to collect him. Maybe take him back up top side. The Galaxy, though, suffering to a massive approach coming through from Procedure Evos. Finally, they assault on towards the building. Freak sends on the backside. Redface, though, you can see him on the rooftops, causing pandemonium to occur within the ranks of Nigma Galaxy, as he has great sight lines over towards them as they try and rotate through these buildings.
Swooped on in, looking to strike some fear into their hearts here. Oh, the bout continues. Damage done onto Freak. He recoils and tries to stay alive. Lynx pushes up, Close peek over the wall, spotted him out, has the info, knows he's trying to bait him for the wide swing, has a shotgun in hand, the SMG up close, trying to slap the man down, but they've got numbers. That's the edge that they have here, Blank. They could overwhelm them with the sheer amount of them, but they're being picked off from a distance, and Freak is still standing, bobs and weaves, left and right, looking to line up a good night hit, wants to clamber down onto them if he can, tries to bait round the corner, hits one onto Lynx, resets for the second as well, tried to first to take down the down players, but Luxy comes back into trade. Problem is, they've taken down 2 in the get-go. Coops is burning as well, so Redface burns him off, and Enigma Galaxy are gone.
Damn, this could have been a bigger game for Pasija Evos, though, on this northwest side. Well, unfortunate. But again, great plays from Freak. To be able to make that happen with the DBS just shows how deadly that weapon can be in close range. Pasija Evos, they had a chance though, like I said, to move through. Udo Alliance up on the high ground, looking for more of these eliminations. Olio's already down though for the squad. We know this guy is a big contender, but some of the other boys on the squad here have been stepping up in a big way. Cluck and Iftar, definitely the 2 lads that I have my eyes upon. Nades, mollies, all been sent down to cause carnage in this position. Another nade explodes just as the heal goes off.
Oh, I'll commit onto it. Easy pickings for Cluck as he will swing that one straight into the face of Reject Tokyo and farm up some extra elims. Grabbing those and funneling them into the back pocket. Okay, look at the setup here as well for Brute Force. He is the king of the hill right now. FaZe starting to climb up. Oh, they had the climbing gear, Blank. But Ventores didn't put the handbrake on, goes tumbling back down to reality.
Yeah, struggling to get his way up there, but has certainly given away his position now, I would say. Neos likely not to get back to the rest of his team up towards the northern side. They held down the compound, but for him, it's all about just gathering information, giving it back across towards the 3 players in that compound towards the central arena, which looks to be the best position in the lobby now. Duxan still in this one. DX just looking to confirm more points, be that points vacuum towards that top side. Influence Rage, they need a sprint and they need it now towards the end of the day.
It's got to be huge. You've come this far. You can't afford to start letting it slip now. Battle Force, Brute Force rather, up top on the hill, still waiting for the peak. See if they can lick on over the ledge and hit some nice shots. Demo, he got away very, very early on into this one. His entire squad was wiped out, but he's still standing. For now, just lurking and skulking his way around the back line, just trying to read what the positions are here from the close squads. Ooh, door comes open, wide swing from Satar, easy shots onto him, but this allowed the other squads to realize his location, so they fire off and take him down. IHC now gone for good as Demo, the last man, falls. Udo Alliance pushing up on Duxan. It's the utility that's getting the job done. The Molotov burns out the first. Nade over the backside of the hut as well. QX losing about 15% of his health from that one. And they want to just swing on this, looking to finish it off right here, right now, and not let the man from Duxan survive for much longer. Does win one fight out with the UMP on the swing. A nice shot to pick up, but he's traded and finished off.
It's a good game for Udo Alliance. 5 eliminations so far is really well done for them in what is quite a circle, honestly, with a lot of awful ground to rotate through. Which is sort of impossible without vehicles, but with the amount of vehicles that are getting ripped to shreds on the rotates inwards, it is just difficult pickings. BTR attempts to move further in. For Duxan going out with just 1 player left remaining, 2 eliminations, doesn't set themselves in the best of steads to get further into this match. Inco over towards our eastern side on the low ground. They'll have to move in eventually, and likely it's going to be teams like FaZe as well as Udo Alliance to take shots towards them. Gladiators go out, 0 limbs, 0 points. Their run's over. Definitely now we will not see them over towards the grand finals. But Neos has an eye over towards Frozen from the Mad Bulls. Yeah, he's just waiting it out, hoping that other teams go down before him.
Just seeing if maybe there's an opportunity for himself later on into this one. Of course, as soon as you reveal yourself, you can't put that away. Can't put it back into Pandora's box. The other squads are going to fully be aware of what your location is and how you're opting to play it. So just taking a bit of a slower burn on this one. Influence Rage. It's been a shame to see them falling off, letting their foot off the gas pedal and not really achieving enough points in these past few games. Still surviving here though, right underneath the nose of Evos as they play close towards the hillside. BTR sending a few shots their way, taking the fight towards Evos above them. So Influence Rage still standing pretty for now at least, waiting to see what they can do with this one. Brute Force set themselves up inside the zone, have a good angle to play around. Redface peeks back on up, looking for the assault on the BTR. The smoke's blocking off all the angles, Blank, just making it so hard for him to hit. But a couple of those shots are on target, and about half HP wiped off Lepar.
Eventually they'll have to make a tumble though, right? That's it. Jump on down from this position, likely into the waiting arms of Influence Rage. We're very happy to receive him. Hospitality galore for them. Redface looks to make his approach now. Federal underneath, but BTR have eyes on. Smoke's the only things between Pajija Evos and death at the moment. Nice nade from Kaiovsky will take down Luxy and Redface at the same time. What a nade from him. Now they move forward over towards BTR, take them on as well. Zipian versus the 4 players here from Inco. Drops down, has a nade of his own, looks to throw it over the top, but won't get it there in time. Could have been a massive nade there from Zipian, just can't hit it. Now BTR in a full-on engagement with Influence Rage.
They're going in. No longer is it chip damage from a distance, it's all about the aggression up close. But in a matter of seconds, Blank, they've already lost so much power, so much stock on this one, as Lepar's basically all that's left. Fragmented from the rest of the team, the other 2 members so far back because of the HP damage they took. Lepar's isolated, and it should be a freebie. Influence Rage want to try and clean up on this one. They don't overcommit to the push over the hill. Lepar peeks back in, has time to heal up, hits a shot, turn and burn. Chow, meanwhile, starts a fight versus FaZe, so that's going on over at the barn. Sitar as well, with the pickup there on the Mad Bulls now. Both of them drop down into the deck as they're just lurking on this one. They've gone from having all 4 alive to just a duo that's basically broken in sheer seconds. Inco also fighting on this one. Everyone bombarding bullets down at them. Not looking good. Squash about to be run over.
On Zenz as well, still find the shots if they took a couple their way. Lil Boy is holding it down for Influence Rage, and BTR are out after that one. Some great movements there from Influence Rage. Looked really bad towards the start of it, but a lot of other teams started to chime in just a little bit. FaZe down to just 1 remaining member. Inco somehow made it off from the compound on that southeast side to get up towards the northwest to sit inside that little bunker where we did see the ramp in play. Law does go down to a nade. Brute Force constantly harassing this team of Influence Rage. It's DX once again towards the center. The big point sponge towards that top side, looking for another chicken dinner. Already had the back-to-back. Greedy though on this final day, looking for one more. Team Queso to break back into that top 5. They felt like they've been so hard done to earlier on today. Getting pushed out of it, not able to maintain that momentum from yesterday.
Can they make it the three-peat? The back-to-back-to-back? Or what is the outcome we're going to be seeing here on Miramar? As of now, Rook aggressing over the hillside onto Udo Alliance, peppering bullets their way, but not quite cleaving his way through him just yet. They've given enough time for the rebase on the shotty. Still missing these, really has to hit those. And finally he will. Udo Alliance go down off the back of that one. And this isn't looking good either. The assault onto DX now as they take a bit of damage, but do find themselves another point in the pocket for the eliminations, bringing them up to 5 on their game. in a great position overall. Papi Potro on the elevated angle. He's the one up top. If he can draw the attention off his teammates, maybe find a critical pickup, they might still be able to stay alive for a little bit longer. Issue is that right now they're just being put down in the ground. They're taking so much damage. And even Prepod's found an opportunity to strike versus Rook as well. Grabs another one there.
Okay, so somehow living this through, and Reyes drops a big nade on him. We'll take down at least one, but it's YDO taking down Papi Potro now as Inko starts to spread out towards this side on the south to look to take down Mela. Inko, pretty incredible run, honestly, but finally taking knocks and flushes from the teams that are playing alongside this little ditch. Mela, last alive, drops a nade through, finds the pick off with the help of YDO. More shots. How is Mela doing this? Once again, the Mischief Maker full in play. One player left remaining. Hardly any HP left on board. Might go down before him.
Mela, the big merc, the man that's been ruining the dreams of all these other squads, continues to surprise again today. And he's staying alive at least until the zone ushers him out. FaZe finally gone as they go down. The Miramar Madmen that had been serving us success on this map will not have a chance to get the chicken dinner today. Instead, that's up to Rook, DX, Team Queso, and Brute Force. Rook's chances instantly expire as DX get the line up on that one. Lamborghini has been Ferrari peeking into a lot of these fights and delivering some sick shots. Another one blank as he rips the head off of Prepod.
DX up to 10 eliminations now. Really playing some unreal PUBG Mobile today. Looking for that back-to-back here to finish things off and makes things so unbelievably hard in that final game as they take away all the points from these teams at that top side. This Thai team has more than made up for it for the fact that Vampire Esports won't be joining us in the grand finals. Their brothers, though, their bigger brothers with their bigger muscles, their bigger biceps, will be at the end of this one as DX has more than done enough now. They've gone above and beyond in this last chance to make it through to the grand finals. I'd even go as far to say they're playing in a different league of their own now.
Yeah, looking unreal. Looking absolutely unbelievable with some of the plays they've been pulling out today. You got to give them credit. You got to give them props for what they've done. The individuals showing up when it matters most. Any one of these four players feel like they can go absolutely nuclear back to back in these games. Right now, though, they strike once again, looking to put the final nail in the coffin here on Miramar and guarantee a third chicken dinner in a row. Lamborghini with the charge in, closes down. Brute Force, all that remains, just two players trapped back, being swung upon by the full squad of DX.
2v4, is it possible? Probably not with the way that DX has been playing. They're on fire right now. There's a pip in their step as they move through this one. YDO, last to fall. The back-to-back pulled off in the last chance by DX. A big cheer from this team and a big cheer from their hometown crowd because this is an insane performance from these lads. And they've just made it even harder going into that final game on Miramar.
The free Pete from DX. Free chicken dinners on the trot, not dropping, not stopping, only adding more points between them and anyone else that is under them. They're not thinking about top 5 blank, they're thinking about being number 1 hard stuck as the top team here at the end of the last chance. That's what they want, and with one game left, that's a very plausible feat with just how much they've done for themselves, how big of a buffer they've built off of these back-to-back games. It's not only winning as well, it's the fact that they're doing it in style, with eliminations, with the team looking red hot.
Yeah, I mean, the Vietnamese squad has just been disgustingly good today. And it's hard not to talk about them when we want to talk about some of these positions towards the bottom side of things, right? Towards 5th place, towards 4th. Who can make it in off the back of it? And I mean, I sort of have to talk about FaZe a little bit. They lived quite a while in that game. It was a bit iffy here and there, as well as Udo Alliance actually being able to get some points back on the board for them. But we're heading over towards a board of our own with the director, Mr. Jason Kaplan.
director, the chairman, I go by many names, but one name I can't go by is the back-to-back-to-back champions, like Xavier getting 3 wins in a row, getting themselves 100% secured into the grand finals, and more importantly, keeping the dream alive for other teams out there by soaking up these points towards the top, Max.
Yeah, I gotta say, Xavier made me eat my words. They were a team that were just about getting into the late game and getting podium finishes without getting a ton of eliminations. What a massive change of mindset. It's in a similar sense to FaZe, that now they just reach the late game
I knew it.
just start getting eliminations. So I'm loving it from the Xavier overall. They just solidified their spot here in the grand finals. But oh, I didn't even see that Lynx AMR from Rare. It's really cool. I always like Mianka. I love it.
Yeah. Run Lynx AMR watch. It's fantastic. It's like bird spotting, you know, but there's always the chicken dinners rolling in for Xavier. I cannot believe it. A back-to-back-to-back. They join, of course, the 3-time on a day winners from prior situations here in PMGC. It's just insane. Insane to see in a high-octane situation like this, where it does feel like their mid-game is usually very quiet, but then they're able to hold down certain spots towards that late game against all of these encroaching threats that are coming their way. So if you can play a quiet mid-game and get yourself towards the late as 3 or 4, yeah, albeit, that's great.
And the most important play here for Xavier when they were on that little dip on the road is just clear your Team Kessos, your Brute Force, and some players off FaZe on the southern edge. The moment you can do that, you can transition on the ridge of the road and pretty much take the fight versus the remaining 2 teams of, I think at the time it was a player of Brute Force mainly taken care of. But look at the ratings they updated, and it's tied, man. What? Oh, come on. It's too close. I don't know, Jason.
South America all over there.
Ridiculous. Yeah, Team Queso tied with Bigatron. Inko, of all teams, able to make their way to 7th place, and Influence Rage in Reach as well. Even IHC currently in 9th. I mean, it's really anyone's game right now. Bigatron, you better hope to not go out early, because if you do, that could be your demise. Even U2 Alliance, I want to say, isn't necessarily safe, as they do have a 6-point lead over Team Queso. So a couple of teams we really have to keep our focus on here, because if they drop out, they're not only dropping out of the match, they're potentially dropping out of the grand finals.
Yeah, we could have 2 Brazilian teams qualify in the last game here, Jason. We could have Inca and Influence do one of the biggest comebacks here at the end of the tournament. I'm adoring every single minute of it. I'm looking at the point spread right now, actually. Even Duxan, technically, if they have a massive pop-off here, could also catch up. We're going to need to see something similar to game 1 of Erangel, pretty much, if they want to make it happen. But the fact that we got so many teams competing for such a small amount of spots remaining to go into Turkey in December, it's pretty nuts right now. And from how things are going right now, the sponge effect is also happening at the top, which means that threshold entry point into top 5 is going to be even smaller than what we expected. So a point or 2 is going to make the difference, Jason. You got to flush every single one of those eliminations while you still can.
I mean, Clarks, we already know who's going to win this last match anyways, right?
Apparently. If it's to continue. If they did, we bow down to you. That would be unbelievable. I would love to see that here if Xavier could continue on the warpath that they're currently on. But I will say as well, looking at where Alliance has ended up, I think it's a great glow up from their previous survival stage. I think they kind of squeaked by a little bit in that survival stage, but they're constantly being able to find podium finishes, not necessarily wins. It would be cool to see maybe them finish it off and kind of solidify themselves in that top 5. But yeah, it's down to the wire, as we kind of expected. I'm very excited for it.
I mean, we're getting to our final Miramar, our final match of Last Chance. I don't even want to do predictions. I don't even know what we can analyze right now, because for me, I just want to get straight into the game, but we do have to wait a little bit of time before we get there. I do kind of worry, though, with the pressure kind of mounting for these teams. We've seen teams crumble in the past. We've seen Team Queso struggle. We've seen Bigatron struggle. I'm kind of wondering with IHC, they've had a really pretty rough day today, minus, like, I think in my head, the one match they had with 10 points overall with the 8 eliminations and 2 placement points. I mean, the IHC do have the chance, but they have also shown to us that they cannot get the placements when it counts. So for me, I'm really worried about them as a team to see if they could potentially make it through, because if they do, I think for me, they have to come with a chicken dinner on their shoulders.
Yeah, you can't afford to lose your composure at this point, Jason. You just need to keep your head on your shoulders. And I think perfectly said, Jason, they need to just get those placement points. They need to just linger in the matches, learn a little bit from Xavier, which is play silent in the early stage. Don't take the fight. And if you can do so, you'll be able to get placement points. And as we know, if you get in a late game scenario, you get placement points. Eliminations tend to come relatively naturally in those situations. So I'd see that they can still make it, but they need more than those eliminations we've seen so far. They need to go the entire way in this final game.
Well, we're going to find out right here, right now. It's our final match of the Last Chance qualifier. 5 teams will be going through the grand finals. Let's see who it's going to be with Jackie and Blake.
what we've been building up to for weeks, Blank, finally culminating in this next game of Miramar. We'll know what teams are making it to the live finals. We'll know who's fought hard enough and who's given up the goose in the last few moments. Because like we've set up on the desk, a few points make the difference between a large collection of some really exciting squads.
Yeah, I mean, right now we've got a tiebreaker going on in 5th and 6th place. It is crazy. Team Queso, 71 points, tied with BTR. BTR winning that one out with the chicken dinners that they accrued during the last chance. They currently have 2. So even if we were tied up again with Team Queso and BTR at the end of this, and Team Queso got themselves a chicken dinner, BTR would still be the team to make it in. However, there's still more teams underneath that. We've got Inco, Influence Rage, IHC, all trying to make their way in here. I think we'd be sort of remiss not to see the Mongolian team make it in from IHC. They've done so well and shown us that they can beat out versus some of the best squads in the game. However, today just hasn't really shown us that much potential from IHC, that same kind of firepower that they were displaying yesterday. So many storylines to keep up with. Right now, we can at least be sure of a couple of things. FaZe, as well as DX Xavier, Procedure Evos, potentially, have all made it in. But right now, it's FaZe and DX that are the most safe.
Those are the teams that are safe. But for some of these teams, it's the difference of having a blinder of a game here, of pulling out all the stops and walking away with their future, their chance here in PMGC, still on the line to make it to those live finals. It has to be decided here. It's our last Miramar. It's our last game of the last chance. After this, it's all said and done. No second chances, Blank. You've got to come away with some big points here, and we need some of these teams in the mid portion, hustling and bustling between a few different points to make it into the top 5 to give it their all. Like we said on the desk, we're looking at big games with Elims and a chicken dinner. You can't let the pressure get to you, but how is it going to go?
How is it going to unfold here in our final match of the day? Playing path, south to north here. Fairly generous with the positions that you can take around this one. Teams are sort of relieved here, Jackie, after that last match. He went up towards the northwest side, went to a pretty horrific position in the zone, which caused some absolute carnage in that area. But DX still come out on top. They play it any which way the circle throws it. Teams now leaving. Brute Force again, pestering the guys on Influence Rage, not allowing them to take much precedent over towards Impala. Instead, they do a split drop round Minas Generalis here and La Bandita. Circle, Generous 2, fairly central over towards Power Grid. Can't really head anywhere on this one. For some of these teams, this is still possible and just within reach for some of them. For Team Queso, barely a point away, but look at this. Did they lose a player? No, he's just barely on HP. Reyes down to 10% on the drop. Woo! If they lost him on the approach, I wonder if that was a couple of shots coming out from a different team. Love to see a replay on that one.
That's the thing, that could be the difference right then and there, Blank, between their chances going up in a puff of smoke. You know, their opportunity of besting the tiebreaker dissipating before it even started. Look towards the right-hand side of your screens. Look how much that resonates. 71 points for them and BTR. Oh, if they would have gone down a player in the opening moments, it would have been a big blemish on their reputation. A blunder that they could not afford to suffer this early into the game. So thankfully, they do stay alive. They have the opportunity to get away and think about the bigger picture that is actually having opportunity to play here on Miramar.
DX on your screen. Don't really need to talk too much about them because you know all about them if you've been watching them this last chance. 3 chicken dinners back to back here. That #1 rank, well deserved. Here on Miramar, an average damage at 1,000 every single game. A crazy result from this squad, honestly. They got to be very, very proud of themselves to make it this far. 107 points, just leagues away from anyone else of ever dropping out from that top 5. Duxan towards the central arena of the map here. Around Hacienda del Patron. They started things off with an absolute banger of a match. 29 points. Unheard of from where they were down towards the bottom of the leaderboard, but certainly heard now as they cry and shout and rage towards that top side of the lobby.
Sarah, playing on the edge here towards the rock, trying to just peek over the top and see if anyone's coming his way, if Inco are going to bypass him and he can barrage a few bullets in their direction, basically setting up for a bit of a trap here. And this is one that Inco really will need to win out on. If they go head-to-head, Inco has a lot less to gain than they do to lose. You need these points so you can move on up and actually make it into the top 5. They don't overcommit. They just stay where they are for now. And Sarah's not going to make much of a play here either. He'll just be holding and looking out for someone else to greet him first. So Inco not throwing away the potential early opener on this one. 4 points could make the world of difference, Blank. From 68, it would take them quite far up.
But losing the reject here would be the worst news possible. They might just find them on the approach. Inco needs to have a good fight here. Otherwise, their tournament lives are over. And one of our first teams to face off against another squad. We saw this drop happen last game. Inco versus Reject. Sarah the first to fall. I'll just crawl in, and Inco knows. They smell danger in the area, keeping a watchful eye out. Sarah just edges ever closer here.
Sarah slithering his way forward. Seeing if he can peek up over the ridge side here, look for a potential fight. Remember, this is Inco's dreams. This is Inco's tournament lives on the line in any of the fights we see them getting into. So it has to be picture perfect. No room to reset, no room for error. Make one small mistake and it could cost you gravely. The peek up from Sarah hits first. Inco realize that things are already getting out of hand. Pressure mounting. They need to reply quickly. Rafa stutter steps his way down the hill. Lufa, low on HP, gonna have a nade dash directly at his noggin. We'll see if that one works out. Meanwhile, Squash is struck upon. So they've lost one member. Inco already down to a triple threat, Blank. It's not looking good.
Back and forth here, one apiece, one elimination closer, but one player down, like you say. And with it being on the outside edge, Inco's got to think about leaving and soon. Drop a smoke out. Attempt to create a getaway path from Reject. Sarah might have just caused Inco to lose out on their chance to get into the grand finals here. Sarah just still watching. Slid his way up behind that rock and struck like a viper onto the guys from Inco. Vitali sends in close towards the tree line.
And you've got to be stuck in between two minds right now. They're debating this one. They're thinking, well, it is a raw 3-on-3. If we get the points, maybe it's enough. Maybe it balances out the fact we've lost Squash. Maybe this will put us into a position we can actually break through into the top 5 off of. So many thoughts that are going to be racing through their head. You can see the paranoia. Look at the body language. Look at the way they're peaking this. They're worried about so many fights. They're worried about so many things right now, all off the back of this one play. This is crazy of how much influence this could have as well, because this is Inco's chance of actually going to those finals. All because Reject strike with that opening pick. All because Reject find a free frag where there was no room to reply. And they're looking more timid. The way they're posturing looks like they've given up the chase on this one. They're going to play for the longevity, Blank.
Play on that long game here, Jackie. Get the vehicles back into position and then just move on out. There's a couple of sight lines on the side, but I think the speed at which Inco will be able to get out of here, they're likely to be able to be safe. Refilling the gas canisters, realizing this might be a long journey ahead of them. Quick swing on the top side, check for the peaks, check for the angles. You can tell, like you say, Jackie, the paranoia is here, just back and forth all the time, unsure where to go. It just ends up being that San Martin and Power Grid are some of the best spots in the circle right now with this shift. Off he goes into the distance. A wheel is spun out. Not quite enough to find the knock or the elimination. However, it might just be FaZe to do the final bidding.
FaZe Clan, they want to snatch this. They want to rip away the potential from Inco. Don't even give them a chance. They could deny it here, and it would be 3 points for FaZe. It would be a nice way to keep them locked in at that second spot. Whereas for Inco, it's their chance at the finals, going up in a puff of smoke. Trade between either side. Nade clashes back onto Mela. Low HP for Inco across the board. They're scared blank, trying to use the utility to keep FaZe back. Rafa has the DBS in hand, needs to get aggressive on this. His team's dying, his team's falling over bit by bit. The longer this one goes on, the worse it's looking, as FaZe is just throwing out nade after nade and blowing away any chance of an Inco upset happening here. They want to deny them the opportunity to get points on this, and it's looking rough. At least there's a bite back onto Vintores. They go for the rev as well. Rafa's going to jump straight onto his teammate. All the attention from FaZe drawn on the one man as well. They're at least going to have 3 players up here, but how do they play it?
This would be an unbelievable comeback coming through from Inco. Rafa looks to take down Vintores to start things off. Nenebeche on the high ground. Only 2 clips in the mag, though, to keep this fight alive for them. Quick knock on the nade to try and bounce it back up towards Nenebeche, but a full 3v3 on the reset as well, with the entirety of FaZe all locked into one position. Nenebeche on this high ground also causes serious troubles for the guys on FaZe. And FaZe, not technically safe. Honestly, there still could be change-ups here. If they win this fight, they're looking way better. But for Inco, this fight means tournament lives. If they find the 3 players from FaZe, they will ladder up. They'll have to hope that Team Queso goes out early, or they can live long enough into the game to see this one forward.
Crazy the way this has swung back and forth like a metronome as well, from what looked like FaZe arriving like the raiding squad, just ready to claim those points and leave Inco down in the depths. Instead, now they're the ones that look timid blank. They're the ones playing defense, and it better be a tenacious defense, or you're going to leave yourself in such a risky position. Look at Rafa. He's got the pin pulled on the nade, wants to line that one up. Would have been right on target. Luckily, heads up maneuver from Mormon, backs up into the corner, out of the fight now for a few seconds whilst he uses his meds to reset. And this is just such an elongated bout as well. You're just guarding. You're just edge keeping them inside of this compound, knowing that if they want to push out and take the fight onto you, you're the one that's going to be holding the angle. You're the one that's going to have the advantage here. So Inco actually in a great position to defend against this.
Absolutely. They've got all the angles to play around with. Like you say, just trapping the entirety of FaZe into one building. Finally, Mormon has the energy, has the courage to send themselves upstairs here. Difficulty for FaZe as they've got no more utility left. Letting dry for both these squads. Mad Bull suffering their own plight to brute force down to 1 player. They'll be out now. No chance in hell they'll be making it in. Brute force similarly suffering. But for Inco, they want this fight just to be over. They don't want to be here anymore. Locked in combat. They want to get looted.
And that's one of the key points, right? The longer they spend time here, Blank, the less time they have playing the game, the less time they have getting that ground loot, getting themselves supplies that are starting to run out. And it's also just the constant heart in your mouth action. You know, you got to think about the fact their adrenaline must be pumping right now, Blank. You're basically in a tournament lives fight between FaZe, and it's been elongated to about 3 or 4 minutes here, where you've just been sitting, waiting, not sure when you're going to have to strike, not sure when they're going to leap at you. And it's not looking good. I mean, either side have used so many of their actual benefits that they had coming into it. The meds, the utility, ammunition's going to start to run dry as well. A lot of pressure on that. And I don't really know how you release it. It's just going to come down to which one of them survives on the fight. Meanwhile, Gladiators eating nades to Rook. So they steal away a few.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. There's the first peak. BTR. They pulled over with one, but it's Inko that gets struck upon. FaZe with the first peek through the window, hitting a nice headshot. Vitali, he's got to back off, needs to play defensive blank. FaZe, they're giving the 1v1s. They're going in individually. They're isolating these peaks. They're not playing together, but luckily Mela, the madman with a shotty, cleaves round the corner to grab a big pickup and puts them on their last legs. He's bailing out. Rafa's giving up the goose. He wants to get some distance on this.
1v1 here for Rafa, on towards Mela. Mela, an absolute DBS menace himself, will at least flush out one of their players, giving the chance for FaZe to get two players back up on their feet. So threaten the res on either side. Mela can hold down the fort in the front side, maybe drops the smoke. In comes Rafa on the side, full HP. DBS primed here and ready for Mela versus Nenebeche, and Rafa himself quickly goes for the push on the DBS, but they don't want to let them get these players back on their feet immediately. Onzens goes back down. That's 4 eliminations. That'll take Inko higher here over the top of Team Queso, puts them in 5th place, knocks both BTR and Team Queso out. All down to Mela now to save not only his life in the tournament, but also potentially Team Queso's and BTR's.
Mela, he's been the clutch master of Miramar. He's been that talking point, Mr. Consistent for FaZe. And this is where that consistency's got to shine through. They're bruised, they're buckled, they're breaking down. And look who's arriving on the scene, the dinner bell. It's been so loud for so long. Team Queso, they realize they can come in. They want a piece of this. They want to get stuck into the fight. Mela, all he's got to do now is wait. The game has changed. The mindset here is that if he can just survive long enough, maybe there's an opportunity to get some points, strike back, whilst the rest of the squad's being torn apart by Queso as they're on the scene. Reyes with the initial nade, throws it in. Inko, going to be realizing now, we've got to do something about this. We need to clear out Mela. We need to get into a better position, maximize as many points as physically possible. Sure, 4 elims and getting into the top 5's great, but making sure that you're still going to be there by the end of this one is a whole different story.
Dear me, this is intense indeed. Team Queso taking it into their own hands here to remove the offending party that's attempting to challenge their position. DX goes out in first, allowing the rest of the lobby to just battle it out. Inko gets upstairs. Mela immediately taken out the way. Now 2 players alive. Rafa on an absolute streak here.
Rafa's playing some blinding PUBG Mobile right now, but for how long does it last? That is the huge question mark over the top of this team. Will this be a defense or will it be a fast for Inko? Will they let it slip through their fingertips? First man drops down, gets absolutely slaughtered. Rafa trying to stay alive, playing towards the doorway, has the DBS, but he's going to get knocked off his feet. Team Queso, a much needed pickup, and it's onto the team that knocked them out of the top 5, but look what's happened to the standings.
Immediately, Team Queso back up into 5th place after that one. Procedure Evos taking down BTR as well. They're losing members left, right, and center, and this could be BTR's run over. Our 2 Indonesian squads not likely to make it back in. Luxy, Lynx, Redface, Misery want to be the only Indo squad to make it through here. Looking to knock down the final member of BTR, drop them down to 7th place. No chance in hell to get back in. Just Superboy now remaining, and Misery has a nade with his name on it.
Misery throws in the first. He's still got more in those pockets, more nades, more utility to use to strike against BTR, grinding them down to a pulp now. Zevos, they want to guarantee a big point scorer. They want to make sure that their 3rd place remains that. Their 3rd place here in the last chance. Early nades to slow down the place from Superboy. At least still alive. Heart pounding in his chest as the adrenaline's going through his veins. But he just stays out of trouble. Keeps his nose clean. Meanwhile, it has not ended for Reyes as the reign of terror for Queso continues. They find another strike, this time onto Enigma Galaxy, and get themselves another elim. A trade back and forth though, and look at the grouping. Everyone's on top of one another. You've got Enigma Galaxy there with Brute Force and what remains of Reject Tokyo in such a small petri dish.
Tiny little petri dish. But a few samples available, and that's Reject, Brute Force, Nigma Galaxy, and Team Queso themselves. Team Queso want to go a little bit further. They have taken a knock. They're trying to keep things back in contention. We're over to this horrendous position on the map. It could go any which way here, up towards the Western Plateau, in which case you want to take yourself one of these compounds, or further down towards that southeast side. We will see what happens, because this is indefinite right now. Teams looking to spread themselves across the high ground on this ridge. A ridiculous amount of action already occurring on your screens today. Couldn't have asked for a better ending myself.
This has been huge, man. Some of the fights that we've been given here, Blank, it's like a movie, the way they've been scripted. Didn't expect it to be so decisive. So many moves. So many squads that were closely grouped just out of the top 5, and they've been proving that they are fighting for their spot, fighting for their chance to make it to those live finals, to be on a big stage, to contend for the championship, knowing how much is on the line here. Huge event so far. Where does it go? What more are we going to see? Duxan on the move. Still a squad that could put up some big numbers here. We were saying how they were floating just out of reach, but they've got to pull it out now, Blank.
IHC, they need themselves a big game. But they need placements. It's the big thing for them. Misery is down for Procedure Evos as Duxan looking to pump those points further up and get into that top 5. It would take a miracle for them to hit it and make it happen. But again, for Duxan, we've seen the type of games they can come out with here, Jackie.
Slow and steady wins the race. Superboy's just been playing the longevity on this one. Obviously taking so much damage early, he's opted to just kind of squirrel away and look to see if maybe there's any chance that BTR could get some well-needed points just through popping up a little bit later into this one, being able to steal away the placement or some snaky points the longer it goes on. For Duxan, where's their conquest going to end? Tags seem to be occurring here as well. Looks like Evos have been thrown into a bit of a scrap. Few bullets lighting each other up. And Duxan, seeing them now, Blank. They've got the peek into the back. It's Jipan that can actually peek from the back of the rock here. And he's seen Luxy. Knows where him and Lynx are. How does he approach this? Has he got the trigger discipline, or does he want to just take on the raw engagement? Knows that these are 2 prime opportunities for points.
Prime opportunities indeed, required, needed this point in time, but the amount of players alive are dwindling right now, down to 30. Not that many left remaining for these teams to make happen. IHC over towards this northwest side, another team that's desperately trying to make their way towards that top side. Next circle shifts. Any team that can fast approach towards that compound in the center is looking good, and there's a lot of teams able to do it. IHC is closest, but they're locked in combat with brute force, Jackie.
Oh man, Blank. It's a big game. It's a big game for them, and they need to find so many points. They need to find a chicken dinner, really, for IHC. It's one of those where you've got to clean up brute force with ease. You can't afford to take a single casualty. You can't afford to waste any real utility either. It just has to be picture perfect. And this is the one that's mind-boggling me as well. I'm just wondering if we're going to see some sort of heroics later on from Superboy. It feels like there's always a potential for this man. Individually so talented, but he's lurking right now. IHC seem to have realized what's going on. The fact that brute force, they're lurking up on him. They're coming in one by one. Peak from the first as Demo, the demolition squad leader, blows them to bits. Perfect play with a nade. The utility master detonates them. And that's going to give him a lot to work on. A leg to stand on. Nice connection as well. Ziol with the tracing, Blank. That's beautiful work with the gun skill there. Nice tag, but it's stolen away. Influence Rage. Clean up on the headshot.
Yeah, necessary. Absolutely necessary there. So many teams to keep track of. No more rankings for you guys, though, so we'll just have to guess as we go on. See where these teams end up. Influence Rage on that northwest side. still holding it pretty for the time being. A team that needs a whole load of points, but we just won't know how many more is required to the end game. We'll just have to wait and find out on that final desk. In the meantime, they need to live it out first.
They're keeping us guessing. They're keeping you guessing. Much like the teams are right now, as everyone's giving it the big un. Left in suspense, not knowing who's got enough points, who's taken top spot right now, who's going to be breaking into that top 5. But still, each fight could be the difference maker. Each fight could be that one extra point for a couple of these squads, a couple of these big names that we saw so closely grouped coming into this one. Papi Potro thought he had an opportunity to keep the good times rolling between Queso, but again, blank. He goes down early. Sara with the opening here. Sara does not stop. The bicep man from Reject Tokyo giving it large right now as he's finding freebies all over the shop. Reyes more like sprayers as he'll be sprayed from Sara and taken down. Reject Tokyo running amok against them and potentially finishing the point where they can actually get any more points on this blank. Big Milo's down in the deck. It could be over for Queso right now.
Yeah, Team Queso don't know how many points they needed. They don't know how many points they required to get themselves in. In an 8th place scenario, they don't get a huge boatload of points for that in terms of placements either. I think we did just about see Team Queso ladder up over the top of the guys from Inco at the end of that one. So I think they are currently in that top 5 position. But they go out now and teams underneath them like Duxan, Influence Rage, BTR, even Yudu Alliance continue this onwards. There's a lot to be scared about here. Even IHC, we didn't talk about them too much, but in they come, barreling towards this compound, looking to change the fate of Influence Rage here.
Oh, Demo with the backup of Joel as they come in and cleave their way through them like a hot knife through butter right now. They bombard their way into the compound with no respect for Influence Rage. They've wiped them up like a spilt drink and claimed control of the compound blank. IHC, we were talking about them coming into this game. I believe they started it in 9th place in the standings. 62 points is what they had. They needed big elims and high placements, most notably a chicken dinner at the end of this one. They're putting their best foot forward in the engagements they've been given so far and at least writing the narrative that there is still a chance blank, that there is still a slim opportunity for the Mongolian Massive to break into the top 5 by the end.
I mean, this is probably the most well-deserved game right now for IHC to get into that top 5, battling off against the guys from Brute Force. A beautiful crash over towards Influence Rage, realizing where the end result is going to require them to be over in this compound. 7 eliminations, but further than that, they need to go. Once again, BTR, just like in their survival stage, edging their way towards the end game to try and get enough points to secure themselves inwards. Yudu Alliance, though, not likely to allow this one player to make it through. The rest of them know exactly where he is. He'd have to go for a mad 1v3 with the blue at his back, which just doesn't seem possible to me. And I think this might be BTR's run over.
Oh, BTR getting battered right now. Superboy is gone blank as he goes down to the play zone. That is where their reign of terror ends. They had put up so many huge games and had flown the flag high for Indonesia, but not happening now. Seems like there might be another side that wants to deal some damage though, and that's Luxy that comes in, turn and burn onto Duxan as the South Korean squad are obliterated one by one. Evos are going Super Saiyan blank.
And they do not get themselves that big win that Duxan were looking for. Reject up to 6 eliminations now, looking to take this as far as they absolutely can. 8 eliminations, possibly 9 now for IHC. This is looking more and more likely like a top 5 team to me on IHC. They've been waiting for a game like this all day long, and it's only fitting that they give it to us at the end of the day here, Jackie.
Made you wait for this one, but this is where they're showing up. How much damage have they done though? Is it enough? When will it be enough? All the questions that will be reverberating through their minds right now. They're just thinking about the bigger picture. Guarantee the chicken dinner, lock it down, and see where you stand when the dust settles. Reject Tokyo and Pasija Evos, the only two sides that dared to stand before them, and it's just a duo and a solo. In red face, the man at the back of the rocks, they're looking for him. Zol, he's spotted him now, knows his location. They want to dive straight in onto him, but they have to keep it clean. Don't make this one messy. Take down Evos and then win out on the 4 versus 3 up against Rejects. That's how they've got to play it. Red face uses the smoke, tries to tuck in close to the geometry so they'd have to dive down, giving them the advantage. He's trying to play over the lip blank. Demo firing off warning shots, exposing himself, but with the backup will find the frag. Reject though, steal away the first.
Looking down towards this way, IHC just got themselves into a world of hurt versus Reject. Only one player left remaining now on the other side of this in Godless. There's one other player from IHC over the top side of the ridge, but Reject up to 11 eliminations off the back of that one. It might just be once again the Reject right on the edge of victory at the end of this game. Maybe a 6th place. I doubt they'll be getting in towards the top 5. We'll have to wait and see after this one. They were so low on points. It's just unfortunate once again that they step up way too late. IHC though been ripping into the lobby like a toddler with a cheese string, now looking to finish off the last 3 members.
That's what it feels like, Blank. It's like they're kids playing with Lego. They're just smashing it to bits. And that's the lobby thrown from limb to limb. Nades on top of Rejects here as the first one will land. Ocio brought down to 50% health. Not in a great spot. That nade barely missing. Divine intervention for Godless as he'll stay alive. Goes back in for a bit more. Using the elements now as he ignites Rejects. You can see he wants it. He wants to just peek with a big old gun and see if he can bombard into them. Plays it safe for now at least. Doesn't over egg the pudding. Backs off for the hill. Molotov starts to tag him as well. Alex moving up. Has an angle to peek. Hiding inside the smoke will be OCO.
Regiocio dropping down there. And Sarah getting around the side with the DBS. Some great mollies, some great nades from the team of Reject. But just not enough players to take down. Sarah dips back inside. Eventually, Godless is going to be forced off this high ground. Regiocio keeps dropping smokes, keeps his position covered. Eventually, he wants to get the backstab over towards Alex and Godless once they have to drop down. Regiocio gets up towards the top side now. UMP close range. Godless with the MG3, Jackie.
The MG3 armed and ready. That bullet belt about to let it rip. But will it be a blinder? Here's the peek from Godless. Peppers into the opening man. Shuts him down as Sarah Biceps has fallen. And Reject Tokyo are being backhanded. IHC, the Mongolian side, have done so much here on Miramar. And they want to finish it in the 1v1. All down to this then. Godless waiting on top of the rock. Quick med Mac maneuver as well coming out. He's going for the hill. Godless is going to peek into him. Blank doesn't have the confidence to wide swing on it. Exposes his head. Takes the bullet back. Reject still holding on here. They both give up the fight to heal.
Just the bandies though for Godless. Duello hits the first aid kit. Back into the fight here now. Jackie looking to finish this one off. Hoping that the circle's going to favor him.
Godless constantly healing. Little bandages going up. The rest of his teammates going down for good. Godless wants to go for the drop down. Bides his time. Knows that there's no easy angle for Julo to peek up onto this. Tries to go for it. He jumps off.
No way!
Man maneuver as he swings on in. Godless grabs it. And they take the chicken dinner. IHC, the Mongolian team with a dream from all the way down in 9th place. Grind it out on Miramar, Blank. And they've done the unthinkable with a chicken dinner at the end.
Godless may be, but like angel wings sprouting out behind him, the guardian angel himself, Godless, will take them to the big heights that these boys needed to get into the top 5. Alex was so certain of it at the start of the day in the interview, and it looks like an easy win for IHC to finish things off and confirm their position into PMGC.
Wow. What a crazy game. IHC over the course of all of the games we had seen from them, we'd been singing their praises, watching them go from strength to strength, watching this man cause carnage, watching Alex get aggressive. Every one of these players had moments where they delivered, had moments where they were the backbone of IHC. But the Mongolian team flies the flag high with a great game there, Blank. Huge momentum for them at the end of the day. Really did give it everything they had on the last Miramar. And we had some cracking Miramar teams in this lobby. This was no easy feat.
I mean, we lost DX and FaZe right off the bat, so our two biggest teams in the lobby just weren't there to have it out. Procedure Evos make it far into the game, probably have secured their spot. Reject, I think, and once again, they came so close, yet it is still so far away for them to get towards that top 5, but nothing certain at the end of this.
No. Nothing is, but thankfully we can find out. Everyone that sat home on the edge of their seats, we will now know who has made it through. Let's get back to the desk and waste no time for the big reveal.
Max, I'm just going to give this over to you and what you said at the end of that game.
It's one of my favorite PUBG Mobile games ever, Jason. There's so many storylines from the start to finish. You have FaZe fighting up against the side of Inco, Team Kesso going for the third party, trying to compete for top 5 position. Then IHC, that we said, Jason, they need to get placement points, they need to get the wins. There was so much happening. My grade is about to explode right now, but man, IHC, this is the biggest game of their career by far, making it possibly into the grand finals. What did we just witness?
It had everything, didn't it? It had everything. I mean, especially even towards the end as well, where I'm going to say, yes, it's IHC's biggest game of their entire careers. It wasn't clean at the end. There was a lot of...
It was shaking.
Because, yeah, that's exactly the right thing, right? There was clearly extreme pressure on them in order to be able to make the right decisions at every single moment in time. Falling down and taking out the procedure last player or whatever, I do feel that may be a little bit of a slip up there. It almost ran away from them, did this game, did for IHC, but just in the last moment, the double MG3 magic, able to clutch it out for them here in one of the closest games of PUBG Mobile I've seen in a long time.
Oh man, I'm looking over and I can see the overall rankings, but I'm not going to look at them just yet. I mean, even Inco, they had themselves through into top 5 until they got wiped out by Team Queso, who overtook them in 5th place. A lot of damage coming through. 2 players over 1K here. I think it deserves a double sound from Kalaris.
Yo, that's a lot. That's a lot of damage.
Sarah coming in with the 1,300 damage. The thing is, we knew how strong Reject could be in the past, and here we go, overalls, and IHC have been able to do it. They've taken 4th place, actually.
Whoa, IHC were able to make the jump up so significantly. They went from 9th position here, Jason, to top 4 in the rankings, completely overshadowing the sides of Team Kesso and BTR in the rankings. And man, Team Kesso, I have to say, it was a really, really good attempt, Jason. That was a good game plan to third-party FaZe versus Inco. But unfortunately, when IHC has a game like this, all you can do is bow, and IHC made it through.
Yeah, and you know what? As much as I'm saying, okay, there were some moments in those final stages where I'm thinking, maybe that's not the right choice and stuff like that. There were so many moments where they could have said, we have these buildings as IHC, we're going to stay in them. We are just going to stay here and allow everything to play out on the eastern side. But they didn't know exactly how many eliminations they needed. They didn't know exactly how many points exactly everything was adding up. So they pushed out onto those rocks. And in that moment, all hell breaks loose. And it just became this perfect moment here for IHC to be able to make... I've got goosebumps a little bit, actually. I got goosebumps.
It's so funny, too, because we saw them pushing, and Clark's like, why are they doing that? They can just sit there and wait. And then it clicked in your head of like, wait, they don't know how many lives they need. They don't know how many placement points they need. They went for the big play that we talked about at the start of the day, right? Sometimes you just have to turn that aggression up to an 11. But I think Kalaris, they turned it up to a 15 there. Ended up coming home and taking the victory.
Yeah, maybe a 15 and maybe a little over-aggressive on some moments. But you know what? It all worked out.
It's not even that, like, before even they start taking that fight for the win, IHC took the control of this lobby so early on. They took control of their destiny, taking the fight versus Brute Force on the northwestern side, clearing the entire northern edge of the circle, and then the most important fight, breaching onto Influence Rage in that compound that gives them free range to do pretty much whatever they want in that finishing moment, because at that point, they were tied with Influence Rage. So every step of the game was so stressful, man, and good for IHG to be able to weather the storm, because I would have been crying that match if I were them. I would not be able to deal with that pressure, and they just made it happen.
Well, it seems like, pressure for you doesn't turn you to Diamondmax, it just turns you into a sad boy. But another team that should be sad, it's Rage. I mean, a team who just has dominated all year long, I feel like. And to see them knock it to the grand finals, it hurts not only for us watching, for obviously them, and obviously the teams in Brazil watching this as well. So that means we only have 2 teams coming into the finals with what? Loops and Alpha 7. I mean, we thought there was going to be 3.
That's why the landscape for survival and last chance is so brutal, right? Like, you can be who we perceive as one of the best teams, maybe even in the world, but if you don't perform on, I'm going to say, especially this second day as Influence Rage, sorry. And then you get these magical moments happening from teams where they really pressure is really up against them. Yeah, you're not going to make it. That's PMGC.
Even the league stage was tough for all of these teams, right? Vampire didn't even make it out the league stage, so it was tough from the get-go, and it just keeps getting rougher and rougher every single day, every single match for these teams, and unfortunately some teams are just not able to deal with it, and they crumble before the finish line. But now we have our 16 teams, Jason, for the grand finals, and I'm telling you, it is looking stacked. I have no idea how it's going to go. There's a few favorites, but even underdog teams like IHC are able to just change the entire landscape of these matches at the end, so it's going to be a tough one to predict.
I mean, the funny thing is, right, we talked about in group stage, obviously there's some teams that will outperform others and others who just won't really perform as well. And then we went into survival stage, and it was like the caliber of the lobby just rose. Like, the difficulty lobby got way more difficult than it was previously. And now having our teams through to this, into the grand finals, the difficulty spikes up another notch. That obviously some teams have some time here to prepare for it, but really, grand finals is going to be a true test of the grit you have as a team and your preparation coming to the event.
It's the best lobby of all time in PUBG Mobile. How daunting is that as a task? It is the best lobby of all time, and you somehow have to scramble to the top amongst all of that in order to be able to claim the championship. It's gonna be crazy over there in Turkey.
Yeah. It's going to be one of the most insane storylines, because you're going to have S2G Esport defending their title on home ground over in Turkey. Man, they're going to have a tough time, because the lobby, as you said, here is looking like the best lobby we've had forever in PUBG Mobile esports. So it's going to be the best finals, I think, by far here this year.
I'm just going to say it. I don't think S2G are going to take the title again. Like, seeing the training that these teams just got in these last, like, 2 weeks of their own play, and obviously the experience they've been able to get, S2 just been having to watch, but they have to somehow get some practice in. And as you said, Kalaris, like, the most difficult lobby in PUBG Mobile esports to this day. I'm excited, man. I can't wait for the grand finals to kick off. I feel like every year we'll be getting more and more competition. I mean, the fact is we're seeing so many other regions rise up as well. I mean, we knew how strong Mongolia is, seeing IHC come through to join the likes of Stalwart Esports, seeing Brazil have 2 teams in the grand finals as well, and what they could potentially pull off. It's really anyone's game, and I'm not a betting man, and I'm not even going to try to bet whatsoever of who's going to win.
I mean, you're talking about Mongolia, right? Sure, you have Stalwart, you have IHC. You have also 4MV that has got a big fan base. I know Kalaris is very fond of this team, and they're hopefully going to do fantastic over there. But yeah, and Brazil, I think that Brazil and Mongolia might be 2 regions that have a shot for the trophy, but as we said, it's anyone's game. Even Major Pride can make it up there. They've had a magnificent play during some of these matches in the league stage. So yeah, prediction-wise, nigh impossible, Jason. I have no clue.
I think for me, maybe the biggest standout, biggest surprise is Nongshim Red Force coming through as well. Like, a team that we didn't really see too much in the past, the team who had that much experience on this international scale. And for them to qualify through first, well, there's still a lot of work out ahead of them. But obviously, as we do close out the day here, I mean, Xavier coming out first, a team that we really would never have guessed coming to this as well, considering what we saw in play from before. But it's crazy to see that Vietnam still has some teams to shine through. And we're actually going to head on the stage with an interview with Xavier.
We're finally concluded for our last chance qualifiers. Yeah, we get our top 5 teams, and we have to interview the kings of Erangel of the last chance, and also almost got himself the 4th chicken. But they stopped at 3 for now. We have the entire crew here of these Xaviers hailing from Vietnam. Congratulations, guys. And I think they're just waving for now. Okay, now since we're gonna ask Lamborghini for the questions, and now can you describe how you're feeling and what is going through your mind right now?
Chúc mừng các bạn. Thì không biết là hiện tại các bạn đang cảm thấy như thế nào và có suy nghĩ gì không?
Bọn em đang rất là vui, bọn em rất là tự hào vì bọn em đã làm được. Còn tối nay bọn em sẽ đi nhậu thật say.
We're very happy and we're very proud that we made it. And tonight we have planned to have to drink together and beverage together.
Oh, they already have plans. Drink together with who?
Các bạn sẽ đi uống với ai, với nhậu với ai?
Thường thì bọn em sẽ uống với sếp và Onin là say hết ạ.
Usually we drink with our boss.
Oh, the boss is here, I guess. I mean, like, the boss is here, guys. Okay, now I need to ask this question. You almost break a record here with a back-to-back hat-trick chickens. Almost scored the fourth in the last Miramar. Why did you score the last one?
Rồi thì các bạn gần như đã có tạo được kỷ lục rồi, nhưng mà tại sao các bạn lại dừng lại 3 bữa cơm gà mà không có phải là 4 bữa cơm gà?
Tại vì bọn em muốn để dành vào final ạ.
Because we want to spare it for the grand finals.
You guys hear that? Fourth chicken in grand finals, guys. Okay, now, what do you plan to do next after your drinks? Any other celebration plans? Or tomorrow, what are you gonna do for the next couple of days here?
Vậy thì sau tối nay thì các bạn có kế hoạch gì không? Có dự định là sẽ ăn mừng như thế nào không trong những ngày tới?
Sau ngày hôm nay bọn em sẽ cố gắng tập luyện thật chăm chỉ để vào final làm 4 trận top 1 ạ.
After tonight, we will try to practice hard so that we can make it to the top 4 in the grand finals.
Calm down, man. You deserve to be happy. No, I mean, rest for today. No practice for one day, okay? Just celebrate.
Hôm nay thì các bạn cứ nghỉ ngơi đi nha, không cần phải luyện tập quá hăng say đâu.
Hôm nay bọn em sẽ uống thật say, ngày mai sẽ vào cái cục ạ.
Tonight we will drink and tomorrow we will practice.
Okay, I think it's just a one-day celebratory for them, one night to be specific. Now, you play against all the teams and grind for a month together here in Malaysia for such a long time. Now, do you have any favorites of players or any teams you bonded with that become your close friends there?
Thì trong 1 tháng qua tại Malaysia, các bạn đã đấu với tất cả các đội và đã có cơ hội cọ sát với nhau. Thì không biết là có đội nào hay là có người chơi nào mà các bạn yêu thích và có cái mối gắn kết thân cận nhất hay không?
Trong tháng qua ở Malaysia thì bọn em cũng tiếp xúc rất là nhiều đội và bản thân em thì tiếp xúc với vợ sắp cưới của em ạ.
In the past month in Malaysia, we had the chance to get in touch and get to know with other teams. But for me particularly, I get the chance to get in touch with my future wife.
Who is that future? Was the one next to you?
No. Vậy mà vợ sắp cưới của em là ai?
Không biết được.
I don't know.
You don't know yet? Okay, a future wife it is. It's a mystery for now. I don't know how many future wife he has. Maybe each one of them for one of each, you know? Maybe. Okay, what do you want to say to the teams that's waiting for you in the grand finals and all the supporters have been cheering for you guys until today?
Vậy thì bây giờ các bạn có điều gì muốn nói với những đội đang chờ các bạn tại giải Grand Finals và với những fan hâm mộ mà đang cổ vũ cho các bạn hay không?
Bọn tôi rất là mạnh mẽ lên, mọi người hãy cẩn thận đấy. Chúng tôi chỉ nhả mấy ngày đầu để tập luyện lâu hơn thôi. Các bạn ủng hộ chúng tôi thật nhiều nhé. Cảm ơn.
We are very strong, so watch out. We will be easy on the first few days only, but after that, we will fight hard. So thank you for supporting us.
Oh, that's so nice. But yeah, I agree with that for now. I mean, it just shows they're coming back as strong as number one. Now, before we conclude the interview here today, can I have one cheer from all you guys, Chua, Parajin, Lambo, all of you guys to cheer for the X one time before we end the interview?
Rồi trước khi kết thúc thì các bạn
you count for them 1, 2, 3, okay?
Okay. Trước khi kết thúc thì các bạn có thể có động tác nào ăn mừng hay không? Mình sẽ thực hiện sau 3 tiếng đếm nha. 1, 2, 3. Mạnh mẽ hơn nào, mạnh mẽ hơn. Vui mừng thêm.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. They're posing. I think that's their cheer for now. I think they're done. They're just still. They have no clue what's happening, but I think that's it for today. And as we conclude our top 5 for our last chance. See you guys in the grand finals. See you guys in the big event. Bye. Woo!
Well, at least they're going to take some time to celebrate today, but they still realize the matter at hand. Their job is not done whatsoever. Getting through the grand finals was the first step, but to take home the trophy for them and, of course, for Vietnam is the main goal here. But they're still going to have a lot of work to do until then. But seeing Demo, I mean, he was our MVP yesterday. He's our limb leader here in the last chance qualifier. I wonder if it's going to be someone from IHC to be the leader overall when it came to the MVP. But honestly, there were so many great individual players, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't think that little role he has next to his name is accurate. Because definitely not. But actually, Redface from Pasija Evos becomes the MVP of the last chance. Okay, I mean, I thought Demo was going to be up there being damage and elimination leader today. But man, Redface, really, we saw from the league stage, right, Calais, being set up on the angles for his team, entry points, especially a lot of these fights. He has been really a standout player for the roster. So glad to see a play from Pasija making it as the MVP.
Yeah, definitely. He's a name comes up all the time when it comes to excellence here, but Jason, here it is.
I cannot wait to see it. We can see the teams already through into, well, not the teams already through, the teams who Alpha 7. I am really curious to see how they're going to perform and put Brazil on a map for themselves and really show the world what they have to do. But of course, the grand finals will be kicking off on December 8th, and we're going with the same map order as well, which I still will say to my dying breath, I love that fact that we're doing back-to-back maps instead of swapping them around in the middle of the day.
Yeah, it gives a chance for all of these teams to really adjust slightly, especially for that big block of Erangel. It is the bread and butter to try and make sure that you can take your learnings into the next game. Again, like when it comes to the games that we've witnessed so far, what pressure has actually built here for these teams? The Xavier, I did not expect the back-to-back-to-back from them here for the final, but you cannot forget what we just saw from IHC. That was, again, just a splendid display of being able to somehow control the nerves, control the adrenaline pumping through you when it all mattered.
I'm really looking forward at some teams like IHC, FaZe, and Xavier that have had a significant glow up in the last few days in the survival stage and last chance. I really hope that is going to continue, hopefully, through this kind of vein into the grand finals. If they do so, that kind of caliber of play, I would say, is good enough to be able to compete with the teams we already saw make it.